Guess who's back?
Yeah, baby. Welcome back.
Again. Although after last week's episode without me, we probably lost a lot of listeners, to be
That's
fair.
true. That's
That's
true.
true.
At least 40%.
I was thinking maybe we have 40% left.
Possibly. We
Well,
told
I'll
them to
tell you
hang
what.
on.
I'll tell you what was cool is all the new people on Beers with the Boys Friday night.
Oh,
There
yeah. I
were-
want to talk about that because I wasn't able to get on.
That was
Let's-
awesome.
Let's get
Yes,
through
it
this
was.
admin stuff real quick because we have a lot of giveaways to do tonight, everybody. For episode 162, we're going to go ahead and draw all of our October giveaway winners. And tonight, 4 lucky patrons will win, which you must be a patron to win our giveaways. And unfortunately, we have no new patrons again this week or last week or the entire time I was in Germany. I told you, when I'm not around, people
Hell
just
yeah.
don't want to be patrons. You know
We
what I
told
mean?
them to hold off. We didn't want you to not get the excitement of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I understand
I
that. I understand it. However, tonight we are going to draw 3 lucky winners to win our sponsor this month for the giveaway, which is Bits Bits, $350 gift cards to
Woo!
bitsbits.com. Thank you, Bits Bits, as always.
Thank
A
you very
wonderful-
much, Bits and Bits.
Yes.
A wonderful supporter of the podcast as well as the meetup,
That's right.
as the con.
Con.
On.
Which,
Con.
speaking of the con, people need to be on the lookout here in the very near future for
Mm-hmm.
tickets to be available. That's happening very soon, gentlemen. Very soon. Okay. So 3 $50 gift cards, and we're going to do our festival swag tchotchke item that we've been doing for the last, I don't know, probably 7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to run low on tchotchke items. We might have to replenish that.
Oh, I got plenty.
Yeah, you do. All right, you guys ready for the first lucky patron? We have
Drum roll, please.
427 names on the wheel, and one of those names, I just realized this. I've never seen it before, but it's not a new patron, so I think somebody did it to be funny. Somebody put on their profile, "Where's my apple pie, Sarah?" That's literally the name that is listed in Patreon. "Where's my apple pie, Sarah?" I'm very interested in finding out
know
who that is.
Yeah.
It'll be funny if it's probably Cam. It'll be
Is that
funny
their
if
is that their profile name and patron no matter what they do, or is that just for green suiters?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
target it to one particular thing.
Huh.
Watch, that person will win. That'll be funny. All right. First winner, $50 gift card to bitsbits.com. First winner is
Drum roll.
Mr. or Mrs. Chris Fitzgerald.
All right.
Gerald. That's old man Fitzgerald's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. Fitzgerald. Gerald. Congratulations, Chris.
Jesus, Ronnie.
Number 2.
It is.
That's old man Fitzgerald's son.
I
Yeah,
guarantee you it is.
old man Fitzgerald's. Number 2. Number 2. Of course. Goblin Spanker.
Goblin
Nice.
Spanker.
We got some great names on here.
Goblin Spanker. The spanker of goblins.
He's probably flying a plane somewhere in
Fun
the
fact
world
is
right
the
now.
hospital tried to talk his mom out of that name, but she was just stuck on it.
Dead set.
Yep.
Emphasis spanker.
Yep.
Emphasis Spanker.
She
All
was
right,
a Marvel.
who-
She was a Marvel
Spanker.
writer.
I have a
is
freaking Noah.
Number 3. Wait for it. Wait for it. Don't be Patrick from Leather by Dragonfly. Angie Williams. Local.
Nice.
Angie
All right,
Williams.
Ange.
Angie
Wicked cool.
Williams. All right, now for the festool item tonight, everybody. It is
All right.
what Sedge refers to as the credit card multi-tool.
It's wicked.
And if you're not watching this, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you win and it arrives to you, you'll know what I mean. But it is essentially shaped like a credit card, but has a bunch of little things. It's a multi-tool and a credit
And it's
card.
very cool.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of video, for those of you that are listening that might wonder where last week's video was, just know that anytime I'm in Germany, it's not getting posted because the internet at my in-laws' house is not good enough to upload said videos. So I apologize.
We missed
All
you
right.
last week.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, did you? It sure didn't seem like it from the podcast.
Well, we tried to fill in gaps.
I didn't listen to the whole thing. I heard some of the funny bits that you guys did.
Did you hear I said bye-bye?
I did. And that's why I wanted to input my voice in there just to be a jerk. I was going to be like, he thinks just because I'm in Germany, he's the last person to say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I
All
won.
right. The winner of the festival swag item is
Drum roll, please.
Bailey Thompson.
All right,
Bailey
Bailey. You won,
Thompson.
brah.
Bailey
Good job.
Thompson.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Isn't that
Chris,
Old Man
Goblin
Thompson's
Spanker,
son?
Angie, and
Yeah,
Bailey. Yeah.
think
Old
it
Man
is.
Thompson's
Yeah.
Old Man Thompson's boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's who it is. It's a good man.
Well, tell me all about this Beers of the Boys that I did not make it to. But before you tell me about it, let me tell you why I didn't get to it. But I've got to tell you about Germany, obviously, tonight. And I've got to tell you about my horrendous experience from the moment I landed in Detroit. But we got home late. The kids almost made it all the way home without sleeping. And then they slept in the car on the way home. So we had to keep them up a little bit longer. It was kind of a nightmare. And then I sat down on the bed once I finally got the kids to sleep and I passed out immediately.
I imagine.
But I heard it was a great time from not only you, but a few people. So please tell me all about it.
We started at 7:00 and we talked with people on Zoom.
And I had tie-ups.
Interesting.
I didn't jump on until 8, like 8:15, 8:20, something like that.
Dang, said you were by yourself for an hour?
It didn't matter. We
Yeah,
have
it was-
such a great crew on Beers of the Boys. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there were
I heard old
so
Ben
many.
Brunt, our newest patron, jumped on. He said it was fantastic.
Ben was there.
was his
John
first one.
Armenia. I'm going to forget some people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Doug, my buddy Doug from Scienceville. He was there. And there's a gentleman I had just met at Festival. I'm going to forget his name, but thanks for becoming a patron. And there was a few other people that have been patrons. And it was their first time for a while. It was their first time coming out. So we had quite a few people on there, hey, Ronnie?
Yeah. Yeah. There were, I'd say, as many as 20 some at the most, but people were coming on and off, and we had people joining. Sedge stayed on until 11ish o'clock, and I stayed on till 2:30.
What?
Of course you did.
2:30, and it was still going strong with 6 people at 2:30.
Was the mayor still on?
Yep.
The
No,
mayor.
no.
the-
He jumped off, I think, at 1 our time.
Yeah.
1 o'clock.
When he came on, I could barely see him. There was so much smoke.
Yeah, he said it was like 4 or 5 in the morning when he jumped off his time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the governor.
yeah.
No, I'm talking about Adam.
Oh, yeah, no. I was thinking about the governor. Yeah. Adam was on till the end. Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
It was just some great conversations. Seemed
Yeah.
like everybody was laughing, having a good time. And Jason, I'll say it again. You were missed.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
So we talked about you instead.
Yeah, so we just talked trash the entire time. How much we hate that guy, Jason. What a jerk.
God,
No,
it was, and just reminiscing about Steve's house and the little meetup we had up in Maine. And Ben reached out to me after Beers with the Boys, said, "What a great group of people! That was a lot of fun." So
Yeah. It was,
I'm just glad we have this going on and
Mhm.
hanging out with people. And I mean, this came out of the pandemic, didn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, when did what was our first
2020.
episode?
We've been doing it for 4 years. We started about right after the pandemic started. You got, oh no, it was about
No, it was later than that.
mid-May. It was mid-May
Huh.
be because Ben came over and you and I were talking and we just decided to hell, let's go for it. And I think maybe we started in the fall of 2020. But boy,
Yeah.
it was shit. And it just it grew and grew and grew and it's just fun. The people I've met are awesome and you know when I'm out and about, I mean we get to talk with our patrons more than anybody. But when I'm out and about doing shows and somebody comes up to me and goes, "Hey, how's Marianne doing?" And I kind of go like this. I go, "Oh," and he goes, "Yeah, I listen to the Green Suitors." And they're not he's that person, he or she may not be a patron, but
Mhm.
boy, we have a lot of people who listen on Apple and Spotify, and it's pretty daggone cool. Just the
Yeah.
people you meet, and I mean, all three of us are sharing our lives, our work lives, our home lives with everybody.
Hmm.
And you know what's interesting is on Beers of the Boys, and even on Bourbon with the Boys, we get to interact a lot. And I mean, some of the stories that people tell on that Friday night are like unbelievable. We found out about the Gov, and we're hoping he recovers well. I hope everything goes well with him. And
Yeah.
he was on
Oh,
there
he
with us
shared a
for,
little bit about it on
yeah,
the.
with the guys. And he goes, I don't know how much all you know. So he just told us. And we were like, my jaw dropped. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to share it now with everybody, but it was nice that night he did. He's such a great guy. And I've known him since beginning of the pod. I met him during the podcast when we
Mhm.
first started. He was one of our first patrons, wasn't he?
He was definitely, yeah, one of the early ones for sure.
Yeah.
And then
So,
Michael Shea was working on does electrical in Newport on boats. He was actually on the boat working the whole time during all the way up until the end. He was on there. He was running, changing out some electrical components. He said it had to be done because the boat was going to head out. So he was on a timeline. But it was fun. He participated in it the whole time. Was
it was
working
so
while
cool.
he was doing
It
it.
was so cool.
Yeah.
It was. We were, we'd be talking, but you'd be watching him and stuff work, and I was like,
Yeah.
boy, he
He
was kicking
shared some
some ass.
stories about, the boat things that they've had to do before, deadlines, and it was cool to hear that. And he answered some questions that I had, live during that. Um, he keeps me going on my electrical exploration, and it's just
Right.
there's so many, I know we've talked about before the HVAC thing. We've got people that are experts in every field. It's I think do we have any doctors? Is that the field? Do we have any?
I mean, besides me, I don't know, probably not.
I mean, we have like every profession I think covered. It's like a lot of
Yeah, it's pretty
IT,
cool.
but I mean, we need to get a green suitor doctor on board. We need to
We
get
So
one.
do.
the other thing I like about that night is it's not recorded.
Yeah.
And I always think sometimes I'll be talking about something. I go, someone's gonna, no, no,
Yeah.
no. It's not recorded. I have to
Yeah.
double take, and
It's a safe place. But yeah, you sometimes,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Honestly, I have considered, I've actually been asked before why we don't record it, and I've considered it just to make it available to people who may have not been able to get on. But you're right. Like sometimes like we talk about things that, probably doesn't need to be out there on the interwebs for people to look up. But at the same time, I do think it would be enticing for people to see what it's all about that haven't got on it.
I think
Hmm.
maybe we could take some snippets of it sometime to show as kind of like a
Oh,
preview of how it goes.
yeah,
But
it's
I
a
The
think
good
if
other
it
the
was
other thing is
recorded,
not
people would
everybody
get
wants to be on camera.
Yeah, I think people would get stage
ah.
fright. You'd have people that would talk and some wouldn't participate, and you'd really, I think you'd double think everything you wanted to say.
It'd be
Well,
kind of funny if the three of us were the only ones that showed up.
yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think it would be good for them to hear the time when we were trying to figure out what we're going to call the wingman,
Yeah,
those kind of things. The the leather by Dragonfly pouch. We came up with some names that probably wouldn't be good to be published out
no.
there, but
Well, the other thing, the file size would be so big.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It'd be
Let's see if
ridiculous.
was it went for 6 hours?
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
went for 7.5 hours
seven
until you
seven
got off.
hours. Yeah.
That's nuts
Phew.
to me. That's
I
like a
know.
day at work.
I know
Yep.
Kelly always asks, she's like, what do you all talk about? And I'm like,
Life.
everything. I can't even
Life.
Girls.
summarize it. I can't even summarize it. It's everything. There's 40, 50, 70 topics, 80 topics. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
You know
And
what?
it's
I just
great.
had a thought. The podcast is like the Workbench Con show. Beers with the boys is like the time at the bar in the evenings.
Yeah, that time just
That's the
doesn't
Perfect.
comparison.
exist.
Perfect
Yes.
analogy. Perfect
Yes.
Yeah.
analogy.
Well, and it's also the
I
equivalent
agree.
because after 10 o'clock, it's like no one's expecting you anywhere. You don't really have to, other than just getting tired. You can be on till 2 and no one's going to stop you. It's not like you have
Right.
any appointments, and it's the same at Workbench Con. No, you don't have where else you have to be.
You
So,
Yeah.
know, since we're talking about beers with the boys, I'm actually looking at the calendar here, and um, we may just end up only being able to do one more before the end of the year because we've got Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so obviously we're not going to do it on that weekend, which is the last weekend of the month. We have the weekend before. Where will we be, Sedge?
Hatville.
Hartville, Tool. And then the last weekend of December is the Christmas week. And so, yeah, we'll
that
probably
was
do one more.
that was actually already discussed that someone mentioned that probably wouldn't be another one until January.
I mean, we can probably do one in December, but it could be the 13th or the 20th, something like that. But we definitely won't, I don't think we'll be able to be doing two. It's so weird. I wouldn't think that November and December are as busy as they are, but here we have the holidays. But uh, next weekend I'll be in Austin, which Ronnie, I know you will be as well now.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Um, the weekend after that is Leo's birthday, so we'll have guests coming in town. The weekend after that, we will be at Hartville. The weekend after that is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I was just doing the same thing on the calendar. I was like, wow, it's November will just be a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing that I guess we should announce is with this conversation, it's perfect timing. November and December, we're doing every other week episodes because of the schedules and because of the holidays. We will be releasing 2 episodes, this being one of them in the month of November, and we will be releasing 2 episodes in the month of December because
Mhm.
it's a lot going on this time of year. And then after the new year, we'll be right back to our regular schedule. So anyway, have either one of you guys been up to anything interesting?
Go ahead,
Sedge.
Sedge.
Drawers, drawers, and more drawers. I feel like I'm talking drywall like Bent. You know what? I forgot how much goddamn daggone work it is.
Yeah,
But
very
there's a
repetitive.
real good caveat to it. There's so much positive comments, feedback. It's awesome. Not only just from all the people watching, but people watching who are like who are in the know, I should say, and it feels really good.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes you don't do something for a long time, and then as you're doing it, you remember. And this is difficult because a lot of people build something and they don't post anything until it's all finished. Then they
Mhm.
release everything. I'm doing it a little bit different. I'm taking people on a journey, the saga I call it. And boy, people are going, "How you doing, Sedge? You hanging in there?" I go, "Yeah, it's a lot of fun." So I've been
That's
working in
cool.
the shop. I'm living in the shop. I just for everybody listening, I just ordered the drawer face stock. It's all going to be cherry.
Nice.
Okay, so it's gonna be
Ooh.
edge. It's gonna be edge banding city. I'm gonna do,
Oh,
and
you're
then
doing
the
plywood?
top. Yep, and then the top. I just ordered 4 sheets. Got a really good deal at Frank Miller. Then I ordered all the edge banding for all the drawer faces, and then the top is gonna be. I'm gonna do a drop edge with some of that cherry you gave me from Hartzell,
Mm.
and I'm gonna paint the all the carcasses. Uh, Green, hunter green. I've always liked that color combination, cherry and hunter green.
Look good. Yeah.
So I think it'll look
Interesting.
sharp. Yep, I think it'll look sharp.
You're just painting the end panels?
And panels in the maple edge banding. That's it. Follow me?
I got it. Yep.
You don't
Got
have
it.
to paint inside the cabinet at all. And I'm doing the end panel is actually gonna be applied molding because I did a video on that finishing the end of a cabinet. I got to do 4 of them, and I'm just gonna do applied molding again. And I got a lot planned. There's so many more videos coming out of it. You know
Are
what?
you doing a video on the applied molding?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that's one of the most common questions on
Uh-huh.
the overbuilding cabinets, where I just screw this stuff together. Everybody asks, well, what do you do if it's a exposed cabinet? It's like, God damn, man.
So, so the thing about this, Jason, is I did one before, but it was a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
finishing the end of a cabinet, applied molding. It got some decent views, but now I have a bigger subscription base, and I think I'll get more eyes on this. So, we're actually going to shoot it this weekend. I'll be using my Grex pinners. But there's another, see, there's a lot of things that I don't want to leave out, but there's a little fine tuning on things that I'm going to do before I do the draw faces. And I'm going to end next week's video on measuring out my drawer faces and spacing and considerations. Then the following one will be milling the drawer faces and prepping all of them because I'll bring the Conturo table into there. And you know what's really cool is I'm already done in my head, right? A lot of people leave these not finished, and it forces me to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have that, that piece, that rolling cabinet underneath my MFT, right? There's no
Yeah.
drawer faces on it, is there?
Mm-mm.
I've been telling myself I'm going to put drawer faces on there, and that's been 4 years, 5 years since I built it.
Yeah.
So it's forcing me, and I hope I have already picked out the hardware. I bought it this weekend. I shot a quick video inside Menards picking out the hardware. So it's I'm going to see how far I get with it. I got to order a little bit of finish going forward, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I've been working on this and working on it, and it's what's really nice is when Marianne walks out. I went out to get something out of the fridge, and she was out there looking at the cabinets and opening the drawer and pushing it in. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, wow, she's got plans for me doing something in the house now. But it's nice to see the appreciation of stuff. So thanks for
I've
everybody following the build. I'm stoked.
It seems like the videos are doing pretty well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Chris is freaking out. He loves it.
I have a
And
question for you.
shoot.
Being somebody that has used Bloom for years and
Oh,
years and years and years, what are your thoughts on the smoothness of those Progressa
oh.
slides?
So I watched when I told you, and everybody knows this on the podcast, I called you out and you showed me that little gear on there. And I was like, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. And now I get it. They're so daggone smooth, but they're they run in parallel. They're married.
Yes.
And that's what people don't get. So you guys want to hear a really cool thing? It's gonna be released this weekend, setting those slides and everything. I have for people watching, if you look at the top of my crown, I nailed myself because I was reaching into the drawer box and my spanner or my nailer on the front just gunned my head. I was so ticked off. Okay,
No.
I'm scraped all over. I've had so much fun last weekend. Chris goes, "This could be our #1 video." So we did something, and I thought about this as I was doing it on Saturday, prep and everything. We got to shoot this for the video. I took a dry carcass, a NFP carcass, and weighed it. How much do you think that is the way I build? You guys know how I build. No token, just the carcass. How much do you think that weighed?
23 and a half pounds.
Okay, I got to remember. I got it written down somewhere.
I'm gonna say 30.
Okay, it's in there. I think it was 28 pounds, something like that. This is what's coming to my brain. It wasn't that heavy. Okay. Guess how much it was with just the slides in there?
Oh, it went up substantially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, over 100 pounds.
No, 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 52. And with the drawer boxes in, I have four drawers. Three of them are 100 millimeter tall, and one of them's 260 tall. So three at 4 inches and one at 10 and a quarter. And I used half-inch birch. 80 pounds a box.
You know,
But I weighed them.
Slides are heavy.
Oh my God. So to answer your questions, I am so freaking impressed how everything went together, but how heavy duty they are and how smooth, but also the adjustments on the clips. I'm going to be talking about those in a future video when I'm adjusting the clips and everything. I'm totally impressed.
Yeah.
Those are sweet.
Yeah, Salice does a really, really good job.
They that the slides running in parallel with each other, that's
Yep.
one thing that a lot of people overlook, but where it really shines is on the push to open application. So like if you do a push to open with like the Bloom 563H, let's say you had a 48-inch wide drawer, which is something that you might find in a kitchen, right? One of those real wide drawers.
Yep.
And if it's pushed to open, if you push all the way to one side, unless you're using one of those stabilizer rods to make sure that they're in unison with each other,
You don't have racking. Right.
Right. And a lot of times it won't even open if you do that without that stabilizer rod, and over a certain size with Bloom, I think with the Bloom Evento, you have to use a stabilizer rod if you're using the push to open. But with the Salice, you never have to use it. The only time they recommend it, I want to say, is over 48 inches.
Jesus.
Maybe it's 50. But they operate really smooth, so both sides open simultaneously. And so that's a huge advantage to that progressive slide versus a independent moving slides like the 563HR. I was just curious because everybody I've talked to that has used them has noticed a significant difference. But to be fair, if you were comparing them against Movento, you may not notice as much of a difference because the Movento, that's what makes them so good, is they have that rack and pinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed with them.
They close so nice.
Yep, and I'm gonna how do you say, explore the whole line of hardware going forward.
Yeah, we're going to be putting all kinds of crazy stuff in the kitchen. Basically, like anytime the guys are coming to do the radon tomorrow, which I'll talk about. But when we redo all the cabinetry on that side, like when I build out the project, like I'll actually get on the phone with Matt, who's the one that you communicated with.
Yeah.
And I'll show him my design and what I plan on doing. And what I love about it is like, oh, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing this? Hey, we have this thing. Would you be able to use that? And so now I'm like trying to figure out like, okay, there's so much cool stuff out there. So much cool stuff that like you just don't know about. And so I think that'll be cool.
Also, Matt's great, but the local rep, James, he's wicked cool too. I was on the phone with him for about a half hour.
Yeah.
It's really cool company, great customer service. Can't beat them. Yeah. That's what I like. Customer service, but killer product for sure.
Those Europeans, they sure know how to make stuff.
That's it for me. Drawers. I'm going to pass it over to Ronnie.
So speaking of drawers, I saw recently and thought of you, Jason, that kitchen trends. I saw one of the most common up and coming kitchen trends is more drawers.
Oh yeah.
They said that for lower cabinets especially, less base cabinets with open door than more drawers. So I saw that. I was like, I need to mention that to Jason. Also,
all of our base cabinets will be drawers.
I think that you can't go wrong with that. And also it's interesting what you said about the 80 pounds, as I was thinking about that with, I did my video about the van trailer build outs and talked about weight because weight is so important. Yes. And that's a good example of someone building out a van or a trailer. They may not consider if they were doing a lot of drawers, like similar to what you were doing with slides, that would be a crazy amount of weight to go into anything.
Wow.
Mhm.
Think about the size of your cabinet. You would have a double high. It'd be
Mhm.
160 pounds empty.
Yep.
So then you add the weight in there. It's like that. I learned that the hard way when my first trailer was a 16-foot enclosed trailer, and I thought I'm just gonna load this thing down. I built all the didn't think about the weight of all the plywood I was putting in there. Just didn't think about it. I was like, well, it's a trailer, it can hold it. And it was so heavy when I was done, when I got it loaded up. I could tell when I was even pulling it. It was just so heavy. So
And
that's
and
go
you
ahead.
never passed the gas station without pulling in.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was used to pulling a 22-foot boat, so I knew it was heavy because it was way more than the boat weighed. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of weight here. So I ended up going with a smaller trailer, but yeah, I finally did. I have a list of videos that I've been wanting to make that I keep putting off, and I'm gonna try to force myself to get at least one out a week. Um, I actually did two in one week.
For YouTube?
Yes, I actually did two in one week. So I'm gonna try to maintain that schedule, and I think I put some things in place where I will be able to do that for sure, going all the way through till next spring. That's it's kind of hard to know what happens in the spring if I can keep that going, but I'm going to try. And one of my biggest reasons for doing it is that I feel like by doing that, the questions that I get a lot, I can just send people the link of the video. You know, when I just have short videos, I'm not able to do that. I'm not able to say, oh, well, just look at this video. But if I have something in detail, like the video that I just made about the 20 things that you need to
It was
consider.
great. It
Well,
was a great video.
thank you. The reason why I put that together was because I put the van tour video out probably about a year ago. That answers all the questions that people had sent me, things that I probably should have included or things. So I just kind of compiled all those and just basically answered questions for people who watched the tour video. So I went back to the tour video and I added the card at the end so that people that watched it could watch that second part. And I did the same on the other one because those kind of go together. But I'm going to just start doing the things that I feel like I'm answering all the time. I'm just going to start making videos about it that explain a little
Smart.
better. That's
Smart.
kind of my plan on that. I worked on that. We finished up our project that I talked about last week. We went out there on yesterday, and finished that up. But other than that, I have a couple of jobs that I'm going to say yes to for December. I think I talked about that, and I'm going to meet up with them in the morning, get measurements, do deposits, and after that, Cameron and I are going to meet here, and we're going to do some organization projects. Um, just taking care of things we normally take care of in the fall. Cameron rewired a trailer today, which is really cool. I didn't touch it. I did not even touch it. I just said, do it. And he completely took all the wires out and rewired the whole thing. And he said, Dad, come here. Had turned it on to turn signal, worked, brake lights worked, everything. So
Wow.
that was cool. That's something that now it's, daylight savings time is next week. So we're going to
Yep.
be at 6 o'clock dark. And right now it's 7. It's going to be 6 o'clock next
Yeah.
week. So that's
November 3rd. Switch the clocks back.
though it's very common. Anyone who has a trailer knows keeping those lights working is like it's ridiculous. It just constantly break. The wire is
Yeah.
loose. It's dangling down. And in the summer, it really doesn't matter too much because generally you're back. But when you start getting this time of the year, you find yourself an hour from home. You have an hour till it gets dark, and then you're like, "Oh, we got to get home. The trailer lights aren't working." So that's always a stress. So I'm glad he was able to get that taken care of. Um, it seems like we're always fixing a trailer tire or trailer lights. Always. It's a never ending thing. Every time I get one, like I'll put a new wiring harness on there and I'll pick up the front with a tractor. It'll slide on the bucket and cut the wires clean in half. I've done that 3 times. And you're just like, how do you do it again? It happens. So that was an accomplishment today. So we're just taking care of our fall things, and that's mainly what we're working on. The build show I realized was in Austin, which I wanted to go to that. And then I realized that the build show and the Texas woodworking show was basically crosses over each other by a day, but they're right by each other. They're 5 miles away from each other.
Oh,
And I
cool.
and I mentioned to Kelly, and she's like, "Well, I've been waiting to go see my friend. We have a friend in Austin, and so she's going to go too. And I'm gonna have a car where we can just split up, and I'm gonna go check out the build show and go to the other one that I wanted to go last year and didn't make it, but it just kind of all fell together. So we just did the flight yesterday, just booked the flight, so it was kind of a last minute decide to go there.
Wait,
That'll
she's
be
coming
cool.
with you?
Mm-hmm.
To both?
Well, she's not going to go to the shows probably, but she's going to come with me. So we have
Cool.
a friend that's a corporate compliance officer in Austin, and she works for a big company there, and she's always telling us, "Please come see me, please come see me." So when Kelly heard it was in Austin, she's like, "I want to go." So she's going to go along as well. So it's cool.
Oh, nice. Nice. That should be fun. So what day are you
Yeah.
going to be at the Texas woodworking?
Um, let's see, Friday. I have to look at the numbers.
So
I'm only
Saturday and
going.
Sunday is the woodworking festival.
Yeah, Friday. Friday is the build show. I'm going to a build show, and then Saturday, Sunday for the other one. Yes.
Cool. So I'll
The,
be there all day on Saturday. And only the first portion of the morning. I get in on Friday and I'm going golfing
Mhm.
with a patron, and then we're golfing again on Sunday afternoon. And I think Jason Hibbs and Craig are coming with us on Sunday afternoon to play some golf.
I'll only be there Saturday for a couple hours.
You're not coming. It'd be awesome if you were.
Nah, I got plans.
It'd be awesome.
That'll be a good getaway.
I'm going to be building drawers.
Yeah, still.
We're gonna stay through Monday. Come back on Monday.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's when I'm coming back.
The tickets were half price if I came back on Monday versus coming back on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
that's
sent me over
cool.
the top. I'm like, well, we'll stay another day.
Yeah.
That's
Nice. Should
that'll
be
be
fun.
good.
That's not
Yeah.
this weekend. It's the weekend after, right?
It's next weekend. Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think she'll probably come to the woodworking one with me at least once, is what I'm guessing. As long as they're not doing something else, but not the build show one. I'll just run in. I basically want to see some of the vendors there and see, uh, there's some people I've talked to that are going to be there. So I'm just going to kind of check that out.
It's a good time. Saturday I'm doing um a demo of the Conturo actually from 12 to 2 at the Texas Toolcraft booth.
He sent me a message today and told me that you were doing that. He's like, "You're welcome to put the Exoactive on and beat somebody up."
I mean, honestly, you could put it on and show people how the damn thing works. I
Yeah.
mean, you got tons of experience with it now.
Yeah, I told him after I said I'm just gonna walk around. I said I'll for sure hang out at the booth for sure.
Just go walk up to the beer garden and get a beer and be like, look how easy it is to lift this beer to my mouth.
Just put it straight over my head.
Yeah.
Spill it out.
Hmm.
Oh, the comments I get on those videos, it's so interesting. There's it's either cost, get stronger,
Yeah.
or
Get
you get
stronger, Ronnie.
or you get laughed off the job site. It's one of those three, like categories, I think. But it's just interesting. And those people that say you get laughed off the job site are just the ones that are not going to change the way they do anything.
And they
You know?
probably have never been on the job site. They're just trolls.
True. Or they're on there and
Yeah.
they're deaf and they have bad lungs. They don't have any dust control or anything. They refuse to
Mhm.
do anything differently than what their father did. But
Mhm.
it's interesting to see the comments feedback you get back.
Well, I
on
mean,
those.
Ronnie, to be fair, the exoskeleton is not the way that people have done it for the last 30 years.
True.
Okay. And
True.
those are the professionals out there, the ones that
I've been doing this for 30 years and I never
30 years, 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so that's interesting to see that. It's the same
Just out of
category.
curiosity, what's the longest length of time that you've ever had somebody flex on you on social media? Like, I've been doing this for this many years.
I think 40 is the magic one that I hear. 40.
Sedge, have you ever had anything like that?
Not on social media. Somebody told me, he goes, I've been working with tools for 50 years. He owned a tool store down in Texas. It's closed up. But when I first started at Festool in 2007, he goes, dude, I've been working with tools and repairing and selling tools for 50 years. You know what he said? I've
What?
never seen anybody bark at a router like you do. He gave me an incredibly phenomenal compliment. Made my day. I don't even remember the dude's name or anything, but 50 years.
Wow.
I know a lady, and you guys know her too, Maria. from Ace Tool. She doesn't flex about it, but I think she started, I think when she was 10 or 11, on a bench, repairing tools at her dad's store.
Holy cow.
Well, how long
And
was Gershner? She was
yeah, that was a flex. That was pretty
she
awesome
was
too,
wasn't
her
she
whole
like
life.
30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, something
25,
like that.
30?
Involved
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
company. Yeah.
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 I've had somebody
Maria
comment
is a new,
65 years.
really.
Yeah. I've been doing this.
Yeah.
Well, they were being rude. I've been doing this for
Oh, okay.
65 years. This is so over. I'm like, in 65 years, think of how many different ways you've done things, and how
Mhm.
many innovations you've seen, and you're
Yeah.
scoffing at these tools. Like, come on.
Kelly's
I
my
always
father-in-law is 62 years. He's been in the trade for 62 years, still
Mhm.
working. But I think you get to a point where you don't like new things. Like he laughs at PEX plumbing. He's like, no, copper, lead,
Mm.
soldering. That's where it is. You know,
Hey,
it's
hey, let's do this. Let's take it a different avenue other than woodworking about doing something the same way every single time. Have you ever made love in the same sexual position your whole life?
absolutely.
this just became a whole nother
I've
podcast.
been doing it that way for 35 years.
That's why you're not married.
now, now we've got to make this X-rated NC-17 listing.
People are like, ooh, what's this one about?
Come on,
What
man.
Well, what
Variety.
always blows my mind is these people that leave these comments, these professionals, these experts in their field. Why are they watching a YouTube video?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
may be anger. Maybe they're at home and they're scrolling YouTube, looking at whatever they like, and boom, a video comes on, and it has to do with their profession, and they're like, "Oh, let's see what this idiot's doing." I do feel like there is some of that, but at the same time, it's like, for you to sit there and watch that video and you're like this expert, why would you even click on the video? Like there's nothing that you can be taught. Why would you click on it?
Yeah.
Some people are just in a bad place. And I know somebody who got a really rude comment once. And he said, man, he goes, I want to pray for you because I know you must be in a really bad place commenting like that. And then Matt said a year later, a person came up to him and said, thank you for that response. I was really in a bad place and I apologize.
Oh wow.
Isn't that amazing? You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what that person's bag, what's going on with them right now. And I just shake my head. And we always say you have to have a tough skin
Mm.
to be in this and accept these comments. I chuckle at him sometime. I go, whoa, that person's either very intoxicated, he's on something, maybe a little more heavy duty, or they have had a really rough day. But when he said that and that was his response, it made me analyze it again. And he's right.
Mm-hmm.
People get in a bad spot and they just want to be negative and negative and negative,
Hmm.
you know? Okay. That was a tangent. I want to know what the heck you've been up to, Mr. Bent, because I've missed you for a few weeks.
I know it's been forever. We are hopefully we're going to see each other this weekend. On Sunday, possibly. Um, Obviously I was in Germany, but since I got back, a couple of things have happened. I was able to get out in the shop today and get everything prepped. The chessboard is going to get finished tomorrow, so I get that done and get that shipped off to my friend. Um, Nicole, this isn't what I've been up to, but Nicole actually went today to apply or to do her, her interview for her citizenship.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and she crushed it, and it was much less than what she was expecting. So that was good. Um, but yeah, so Nicole is going to be a U.S. citizen soon. Uh,
Awesome.
well, she'll have dual citizenship, but she will have citizenship in the United States. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um,
Very.
I ordered a Tormek T8. I don't know if you saw my stories the other day. I ordered a Tormek, or I didn't order it. I got it from Chad, one of our patrons. Um, and I feel terrible because it finally, like, we went back and forth. It was like this long thing. He had a bunch of stuff going on. He couldn't ship it. He finally got it shipped. It ended up arriving like, I think, 2 days before we went to Germany. And I was trying to wrap up so many last minute things prior to going to Germany that I never really got a chance to open up the box. But the box showed up damaged. Um, there was like the whole bottom edge was like open. And so I was worried that stuff, fell out of it. And he was like, "Hey, take a look at it. Don't send me any payment yet until you take a look at it." And of course, I didn't get around to it. So before I left, I ended up sending him the money. And I said, I'm not worried about it. We'll take care of it when I get back. But I don't want him to wait on the money, right? Um, so I got back and I went out and I looked in the box yesterday, took everything out, set it all up, plugged it in, turned it on, and there's a huge wobble in the grinding stone.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, that's weird. Maybe it just needs to be trued. And then I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense because no matter what, it's always going to wobble. And so I took the stone off and turned it on again and realized that the shaft that goes through the machine was actually bent. And what I think ended up happening is because of the damage of the box, it just got tossed around and something pressed up against the stone and it twisted the whole thing. So I sent him a couple of videos. I was like, "Hey, just first, is this everything that you sent with the box?" And he said, "Yeah, it looks like everything made it in the box." And then I showed him the issue that was going on, and I actually did stories on Instagram, and I actually tagged Tormek, and I was talking about like I bought this used. I'm sure that the warranty doesn't apply, in this case because I think it's a fairly old machine. Just to see if they may reach out and be like, "Hey," because I didn't know at the time if there were parts that you could get to replace that. And they saw it, but they never responded. They never said anything. Um, and so I wasn't really worried about it because I went online and I looked, and that rod is only $60. Just get a brand new axle or whatever it is, and replace it $60. I already ordered it. It's going to be here tomorrow. And so I wasn't concerned with. I mean, I got a really good deal on that thing. I wasn't concerned about anything, but Chad felt bad and he sent me back a small portion of the funds today to cover the cost. And I was like, man, you didn't have to do that. So hopefully I'll get that up and running here soon. And then Sedge, you'll have a Tormek to use to sharpen my tools when you come over.
Perfect. Can't wait.
Yeah. So got the Tormek. Okay, so Germany. Germany was awesome, as usual. For those listening that don't know and didn't see my stories, so I ended up sponsoring my brother-in-law's soccer team. And so I got to go meet the team and watch them practice and watch one of their games and hang out with them. And they were super, super appreciative. It was really, really cool. They had a little speech and they wanted to say thank you. And all the guys, it was really awesome to do that. But on the last day that we were there, we were at her sister's house, and the captain, who is in one of the pictures that I posted, the captain of the team showed up, and he was in like the full like warm up outfit, which is what the sponsorship paid for, basically, to get all these guys new warm up outfits. It has my logo on the back. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that must be cool.
Yeah, I saw them. They're cool. I saw them.
It was pretty neat. And they got me a special like picture. It's like a team photo. They had it printed while I was there. It's a team photo. I'm going to end up making a frame for it and hanging in the shop. But it's a team photo, and then like the picture of me with like the manager and the captain, and then they all signed it. It's really, really cool. It's got like their logo on there and my logo. It's pretty sweet. So that was cool. I will say that this trip was it was more stressful than usual. So I think when Nicole and I figured out, I talked about this last time, 3 weeks is too long. It's too long to be there in her parents' house and being away from our stuff. Once we got to the 2 week mark, everybody kind of seemed like we're ready. Not everybody, but like the kids specifically. The kids like, I want my own stuff back. I don't want to share it every day. But when you're there for 3 weeks, you don't feel like you have to plan something every day. This time we were there for 10 days. There was literally something planned every single day. So it was nonstop and it was constant, watching the kids, making like the kids were just crazy together. And it was fun to watch them happy and play, but 10 days just isn't enough. So I think we figured out the sweet spot is like that, 13, 14 day, which I think is what we'll do moving forward. But really good time. Fall is absolutely beautiful there. All the leaves are turning color. The grass is super green. Um, it's just absolutely phenomenal. One thing I will say is, so she has a friend named Katya, and Katya was my.
Can I ask you, are the hills alive with the sound of music?
I think that's England.
Switzerland.
Austria.
Thanks.
Austria.
Austria. Yeah. Yeah. Austria.
Um, this girl Katya, she was married to a buddy of mine. She's German. They ended up, later getting a divorce. He went back to the States. Whatever. She stayed there obviously because she's German. She has continued to work.
She told me she was single, by the way. I didn't know.
Who?
I was saying I was the reason for the breakup.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? She stayed in Baumholder. So she saw like Baumholder was kind of a ghost town, which is where I was stationed when I met Nicole. And over the past couple of years, there's been some new developments, and like 10th Special Forces Group is taking over, and they're dumping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into Baumholder. And so we had this conversation. I talked before about the possibility of us moving to Germany, and then Nicole and I both kind of were like, it's just not realistic. But she was talking to me, and when she was explaining to me all the things that are going to be happening in 2020 by 2026, I started immediately thinking like, holy cow, there's going to be a lot of positions available, a lot of jobs available in Baumholder. So for like 2 days, I kept thinking about it. I was just now all of a sudden I told Nicole, I was like, I do feel like it's almost kind of back on the table that this could be a possibility. Because even though I don't want to go back and work for the military, if I was working for a special forces group, it's a little bit different, right? It's a very different experience. And I was thinking about, I'm like, one of the biggest problems in getting over there is the move itself and how expensive it would be and everything that goes along with it. Well, if I ended up looking at getting a contractor job, one of these great jobs that's available, well, those are the higher paying jobs to begin with. So it might actually kind of make sense. You could get on like a 12-month, 36-month contract, go over there, have your move paid for. And at the end of that, if you decide you don't want to keep doing it, you're there. I can just stay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the kids and Nicole both, or all three of them have, German passports and German citizenship and all that. So there's all kinds of stuff. But here's why I'm bringing this up, because one of our biggest concerns was, what does that mean for Bent's Woodworking? And I started thinking about all of the things that would be affected. And when you really think about it, when it comes to ad revenue, nothing changes, right? Because my audience is still American.
Exactly.
Nothing changes. The major tool brands that I represent, does my relationship outside of YouTube change? Maybe a little bit, sure. Some of these brands that I have like recurring monthly deals with, does that change? Sure, maybe. But ad revenue and affiliate marketing, no, they don't, because I'm still catered to a US audience. And so I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, let's just say I was like, okay, I want to try this. I get a job over there for 12 months, whatever. It's going to take me some time to figure out how all the things work with the social media side of things and kind of what to expect moving forward. But I could be doing that all in my spare time. And then after that year, 2 years, if we figured it out, maybe at that point I know, and I'm like, let's just go back to it. But I kind of know what I would still be earning at a minimum. So like it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So it kind of brought back that idea of maybe it's a possibility back on the table, but there's still a lot of other things that we're just kind of like, the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be for the kids.
Yeah.
So overall good trip, a little bit more stressful. But I wanted to quickly share my experience coming back.
Yeah. What about Detroit? What happened?
So we will never fly through Detroit internationally again. I like flying through Detroit for US based flights because
Hmm.
it's an easy airport to navigate. It's nice. So I was very concerned, as usual, on the flight back with the kids. Not so much Leo, but Max, because it's daytime for them. And, Max doesn't like just being in one place for a long period of time. And he can only do one thing for so long before he gets fussy and he wants to do something else. Luckily, it went pretty well. He did get that way, a few times, but we were able to control it and it was good. And then the day before, all the kids were just absolutely crazy. And it was way more stressful than what we dealt with on the plane. So we're thankful. We're like, okay, this has been great. We're getting ready to land. Everything is good. We only had about an hour and 50-minute layover, which we purposely chose this time because when you're coming back and the kids are tired, a 3-hour layover just sucks. Well, we land, pull up to the gate, and we're sitting there, sitting there, sitting there. And we're like, why are people not getting off the plane yet? They come over the intercom and they say, um, they said, we are holding you on the plane. We have not been cleared to deplane because customs is overpacked due to multiple international flights coming at the same time. They had like 1,200 people in the customs line. I think it was either 1,200 they said, or it was 1,800. It was some ridiculous number. And so finally, after about 5 or 10 minutes, they finally give us the clearance. We get off the plane. We're like, we're not going to make our flight. I was like, I don't know, maybe we will. We walk in there. No chance we were ever going to make our flight. Zero. The line zigzagged back and forth. Max, they did not bring our stroller and get it off the plane. They're like, it's going to go to the carousel. We can't go to the carousel because we haven't cleared customs. So now we're carrying Max, right? Who's fussy. He wants to run around. And I'm like, this is going to take 2 hours in itself. And we were in the line freaking out, stressing out, like we're not going to make it. What do we do? And luckily, after we moved about 10 feet in about 15, 20 minutes, this lady says, this line is for US citizens only and green card holders. And the line over here is for non-citizens. And then she said something about military. And I was like, does it include retired military? And she's like, just don't tell them you're retired, but we need to get somebody moving. So you guys are more than welcome to go. And so we walk down and we find there's this other line and there's only like 15 people in it. And
Nice.
so we ended up getting through. I'm like, okay, we're good now. When I go up to the passport control, the guy scans my passport and he like raises his eyebrows for a second. He was like, can you confirm the last four of your social? I'm like, yeah, whatever it is. And he's like, okay, all right. And then he processed the kids and my wife. And then this police officer walks up.
What?
Yeah. This police officer walks up and he's like, or he gives me back the 3 passports. He does not give me mine. And he's like, hey, I need to give this to somebody. You need to go with this man right here. And it's a police officer. And he's super nice. He's just like, hey, how you guys doing? Did you guys check bags? How many bags did you check? Where are they at? What carousel? Okay, great. Can you come with me? And so he takes us back to this special customs area. And I'm like, I'm freaking out at this point because I am like, I have no idea what's going on because it didn't seem like it was an additional bag check or anything. We didn't even have our bags. So he takes us over there and there's like 4 or 5 people sitting there and there's a couple of different customs officers that are standing at this kiosk and they're processing these people. Can you guys still see me?
Yep. You're just frozen.
But your audio is good.
Okay. So they start going through, and finally, it looks like he's working on mine, right? It looks like he's actually doing something with my passport. Max is going crazy. He decides to run. Nicole's trying to deal with Leo. I'm looking at the customs agent. Max starts running away. Nicole says, Leo, stay here. She turns, looks at Max. Max has his head turned back. He's running, and he's running straight towards a metal pole. And he turns his head at the last second. Boom.
Oh my God.
Smacks his head on the pole. He's crying, gets this huge knot on his forehead. Finally, the guy comes over to me. He's like, let's go get your bags. So we go get the bags. He brings like a dolly. I'd load up all the bags. He brings it over. And he was like, so can you tell me a little bit about your trip? And I'm like, oh my God, something got thrown in my bag that I don't know about. And I'm freaking out. Like I'm going to get freaking arrested or something. And I said, he's like, what all did you bring back? And I'm like, I'm assuming this has something to do with wine. Because we brought back 8 bottles of wine that I didn't really want to bring back, but my wife did. And so I'm like, finally at this point, he's like, yeah. He's like, is it wine? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, sometimes people try to bring stuff back. Usually wine's not that big of a deal. How many bottles do you have? I said, I have 8. So I guess when they scanned them in Germany, it triggered in the system. And he's like, you have to pay import fees if it's above a certain alcohol content. But since it's wine, it's not really that big of a deal. But here I am like telling Nicole while he's talking to me, I'm like, honey, please see what time we start boarding the flight. Because we had to go to a different terminal. And he's like, oh, I'm assuming you have another flight. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what time does it board? And I told him. And luckily, he did not make me open the bags, which would have been a nightmare because I had them packed very particular, like inside of like sweatshirts. Like it was very meticulous, right? So then I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. So we go out. Then we have to go to the bag drop to get them on the next plane, which most other airports, that's all within security. You don't have to go through security again. Not in Detroit.
Not in Boston either.
Really?
Yeah.
In Detroit, you got to drop the bags and then you got to go through security again. And guess what line is really, really long because how busy customs was? The security line. And so I give the bags to this guy and I'm like, what are we supposed to do? Like these bags are going to go get on a plane that we're never going to make it to. And he was like, well, you can go upstairs to the main lobby and go through security up there. It's going to be much faster. Nobody just wants to go up there. And I was like, screw it, we're going. So we like run up there. It's like 3 levels up. We get up, we go through security. We get into the main terminal. And then we realize we have to go from this terminal to terminal B, which means we have to walk underneath the tarmac all the way to the other side. And I'm talking like jogging and like with just to get to the gate. We finally get to the gate. We get on the plane. There's no air going. It's hot as crap. The flight attendants were like super rude. There was some lady that was like training. So she was nitpicking every little thing, yelling at Nicole because Max didn't have a seatbelt on, even though he was sitting on her lap. Like it was just a nightmare.
Yep.
And it was very, very close to not making the flight. And, the reason why that was such a debacle is because when you're flying with kids that age that stayed awake the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not enjoyable, but we ended up getting home, finally, and everything turned out good. But that is why we will not fly through Detroit for an international flight ever again. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. You know what I felt like? I travel enough now to where, I look around and I see other people and I think in my head, I'm like, have these people ever traveled before? No. Running to the gates and the stupid stuff that goes on at security and the dumb questions that people ask. And it's just totally clueless. Believe it or not, because we were stressed and like on a time crunch, I actually felt like that guy. So now I kind of get it, right? Like it may not be that they're not into traveling. They're just like super stressed because of all these things that happen. And I found myself being that person, like forgetting to take things out of my pocket and forgetting, to do this and do that. So I totally get it. Being that guy that's like trying to rush to get on the plane and smacking people with bags, you know. Um, so I
What's
thought,
bad is no matter how early you get there, you can't help a connecting flight and what they put you through. Like they get there and you're sitting there thinking, I've got 10 minutes to get to the next, and it'll be a whole nother terminal away.
yeah,
And then you find yourself running. No matter how early you got to the airport, you can't control that part. That
yeah.
seems to be very common now. That's why I try to avoid a connecting flight if all possible. But
Or I
you
Well,
schedule.
sometimes.
You scheduled an hour and 50 minutes, which is more than enough. But
yeah,
sometimes things happen with planes or whatever. Um, I always schedule myself. I look at things and I go, okay, because of my status, I will sit toward the front of the plane. That's a big bogey, by the way, when you can sit forward in the plane to make
Mhm.
connections. And you can actually make them because you ever sit in the back of a plane and you got a tight connection? You want to talk
Mhm.
about stress
yeah.
Uh,
because these people lillygag. They're
mhm.
new travelers and they don't have a clue. They just take their time, uh, you know, leaving the plane. So I just take things into consideration and I know the airports and I know I can make my connections. Like there's certain airports where I'll worry about, okay, this terminal here, I get a tight connection, but I walk out, it's the one next door. Minneapolis is really good about that, especially if you
Mhm.
fly Delta. Detroit, oh my God. I've landed at the end of one terminal and had to run to the middle, go underneath, and guess where my connection was? All the way to the other end of the other terminal.
Yeah.
And guess what was happening when I showed up? They were closing the door and they wouldn't open it.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the
wow.
last time I flew American.
Yeah.
You know, forget them. I don't need that. I fly Delta all the time, and I
Yeah.
that's
I've always had really good
and
experiences for the most part with Delta.
I
Although what
I haven't traveled much this year, so I'm a happy camper.
one thing that I've noticed is like when you get on these like puddle jumper flights, the ones that like go from, you know, here to Detroit, Detroit to Boston,
Hmm.
whatever, you know, the real small aircrafts like the CJ 300 or whatever it is. You typically don't have the best caliber of flight attendants.
Oh, that's for sure.
That's one thing that I've really started to notice a
Oh
lot
yeah,
lately is like it's almost like either the and this isn't an insult to people that are, you know, flight attendants, but I have a feeling that there's some sort of like rank structure
There
or
is.
seniority based thing because
There
the
is.
international flight they were fantastic.
I have a niece that's American Airlines flight attendant, and that's the main thing she talks about. It's all about rank and seniority.
Yeah.
And the longer you've been there, the better you get to pick schedules, destinations, where you're based out of, and also even day flights and night flights.
Mhm.
So you're that
or
there's a lot of that.
or if you see somebody who's been with a company for a long time, an airline, and they're on the puddle jumpers, they really screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She would go. It's kind of odd. You don't really think about it. It's like she would have a time where she would go. She was based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and sometimes she would go to the same place twice. You would fly to one location, come back, and then you leave and go again and come back, and that's your work day. And
Yeah.
it's an odd way of thinking because we always think about getting on a plane and going on a trip, but to
But
them, it's just they're working on the plane.
yep.
Mhm.
And
So
that's
it's
kind
just
of like instead of over the road haulers, a day hauler for tractor trailers. There's some people who choose those puddle jumpers because they're home with their families every night,
right,
Mhm.
right.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and those people, I guess, get to choose which ones they want.
But
I mean, I've
once we
definitely had some of these smaller flights that have had great, amazing service,
Same,
but
same.
lately I've had quite a few flights where it's just like this person clearly does not want to be here at all.
Hmm.
I
I'll tell
mean,
you what. I When I first moved to Indianapolis, there was one airline I flew all the time. It was U.S. Air. They were gobbled up by American, but I flew because of my status. I flew 85% of the time. They put me in first class. I knew all the people in ticketing, and they were always smiling, always happy, and every person on that plane was so daggone nice. Great, great, great airline. Couldn't talk. And then they were gobbled up by American, and then it all went to shit.
well, we need to figure it out. If it wasn't for his requirement to go to Germany, we would already have the Green Cedar jet because we were going to do
That's right.
one that can go around the country. But once you go transatlantic, we've got to
Yeah,
get a whole different type of jet.
I know.
So we're either going to have to get some more patrons, or I don't know, or just
Mm,
Yeah, we do.
pull the plug on the one that just can go from here to across our country.
We could
it's too
just
bad.
raise ticket prices for the con 2025 to 10 grand a pop.
That's true. We'll just take the price of the bigger jet and just divide it by how many people we think is going to come, and then that'll be what it is.
Yeah,
Hey, when Ben left, he took the helicopter, didn't he?
he did.
Yeah, I
God
never
damn it.
got to even see it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucks. It was green camo.
I did have a woodworking fact
Mm.
that I would like to share since we are a
Okay.
woodworking podcast. Did you guys know that wood moves?
Yes. We all learned the hard way, right?
Well, the reason I say that is so that chessboard, I had it all done. The top was sliding in and out perfectly. Had to make some modifications to it. I left for 2 weeks. I came back. I almost couldn't slide the thing out. So I had to take more material off the rail that I made to get it to slide back in and actually give it a little bit of room
Mhm.
um, to account for that. So
You know what? It's probably good that you did that and it had that time to acclimate and sit,
Yeah.
because if not, if you sent it off working perfectly, it might have started getting
It,
caught.
it's
yeah,
kind of like a lot of things, though. If you put a little lubrication on it, it slides in easier,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard that.
you know?
Because I guess when you finally did that final mill on it, you exposed a little bit more, grain that had to expand. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
that's
I was shocked because it was really loose and slid in. This is so bad. It slid in and out really, really easily. It was perfect, um,
yeah.
with no lube, surprisingly. But yeah, I came back and I was like, oh, I'm gonna slide this lid right out. It's such like a child. I'm gonna slide the lid right out. Nope,
You
definitely
just
didn't
can't
It
slide it right
doesn't,
out.
I
you
don't
never
care how
know.
old you get, it never gets old.
Well, you never
Yeah,
know what you're going to get with hardwood.
yeah. Hardwood is oh, Jesus. Hardwood is very tricky.
It is.
Very tricky. Man, we're
Oh
getting
my
canceled.
God. We're going to get canceled just because you said spit on it. I'm telling you.
Yeah. This is where we need one of the soundboards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put on like that's what she said. We can do the Hawk Tua
Yeah. Oh my
sound
God.
effect on
I'm
there.
telling you. Oh
Have
my
you
God.
ever noticed how when you talk like talking about woodworking is can always be made out to be super sexual? I've noticed it in
Absolutely.
videos before when I'm talking on stories and I'll catch myself and I'll be like, "Oh God, yeah, this doesn't sound good at all. Like this is terrible." If you watch the cabinet videos that I did with Nicole, um, it comes up a lot. Like how many like sexual innuendos when I was explaining things to her. I
Mhm.
almost want to well, I'm going to re-edit the video and release them both together, but I almost want to do like a sexual innuendo counter up in the corner. You know
Through boring,
what's that? Through
through
boring.
boring,
Yeah.
The wood's too soft or the wood's too hard.
Setting your screw right.
pocket
Yeah,
hole,
yeah, yeah. Pocket hole. Oh yeah.
dovetail.
Oh,
Oh,
oh my God.
one thing that I did do, Ronnie, you'd said that the shop organization stuff, like I want to focus on that so much, but the two Husky cabinets that I have,
Hmm.
Sedge with the drawers.
Yep.
Now that the drill press is gone, and I got rid of a lot of the junk that was on there, so that's
Yeah.
now the Tormex sharpening station, and like
Hmm.
the drawer underneath it will have all like the Tormex accessories and stuff, so they're easily accessible. And then to the right of that, I have my Shaper workstation, which I want to build like a platform, a box to raise it up a bit. Um, and then I'll use like the drawer underneath it to like put router bits and the tools and all that stuff. Hung up my Shaper plate and all that stuff on the wall. Um, but I thought that was like a cool, like now it's a little workstation. It's all right there next to my assembly table. I'll be able to do stuff. But it makes me want to like redo my miter saw station and my assembly table. Um, Here's a question for you guys. Ronnie, do you have a traditional hand tool bench?
No, never have.
So Sedge, I know you do.
Mhm.
What brand is yours?
Mine is a Veritas. But as I talk about it in videos, people will say, Sedge, that's been discontinued. And I always say, no, it hasn't. I go and look, it's been discontinued. My I've had that bench for 20. No, yeah, about 23 years. I've had that bench. And it's just I'm just so used to it. It's where I start my day every
I
day. I
I
go out
can't.
there and there's a lot of good benches out there.
What is the brand? Saborgs? Is that what is that?
Schoberg,
Schobergs.
Yeah,
and they're
that's what
good.
we have, the junior one for Cameron. I do
Yeah.
have that one. It's not heavy. That'd be its
Uh,
biggest
now
drawback, but it's handy. I use it all the time. But
there's yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I would like to have the larger version of that one,
Lee
if I was
Nielsen,
buying one. Yeah.
Lee Nielsen's making them again. Uh,
Really?
the see now here, yes, it's a great. Mine is a great bench, but since in the Mox and Vice I have, and I got the hardware from Benchcrafted. Benchcrafted makes killer bench hardware, but you have to make your bench.
Mhm.
But they make phenomenal. I mean, the cat's pajamas bench Vice hardware. Oh my God, it is so smooth. I know a lot of people make their own mocks and vices with, and they use all kinds of pieces and they part them together and they work great. But boy, just taking one of those heavy duty little wheels and spinning it, it's just so nice. So part of me sometimes thinks I'd like to build my own bench with all bench crafted hardware.
Right.
But then, daggone it, I'd rather build out other things in the house. There he is. Does he still got that big bump on the head?
Oh,
No, he's got.
Look how cute he is. He's getting ready for Halloween, isn't he?
he's happy to be home.
They went
With
to a trunk or treat at Leo's school. Hi,
nice.
Max.
Was he dressed
Yeah,
up as?
he's a dinosaur.
I thought so. Let's see him.
Thought those were extinct.
Hi.
Oh,
Who's that?
No,
how
don't touch it.
cute.
Say hello.
Hi.
Say hi.
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 You know, this almost reminds me of when Leo was a little tiny
Yep.
guy and we used to bring him on and have him say stuff. Can you say hi, Bria? Say hi, Ronnie.
Hi.
That's awesome.
He's really like he'll repeat pretty much anything that you say now at this point and copy just
And
about everything that
and
that
of
Leo
course,
does.
Oh my
of
God.
course, he speaks
Look,
German
look,
as
he's
well, right?
pointing.
I
Hi,
mean,
Nicole.
he does speak German. Like he'll repeat things in German.
I
like if you
figured
say,
that. Yeah,
he says
that's
thank
the time.
you. It's cool. He's
That's
getting
the
to
way
a
to
to a
learn.
fun age. What were we discussing?
Hey,
Workbench.
Yeah, the workbench.
The only thing I got to ask, I am sorry, I'm going back to Detroit. I know he hit that pole with his head. How did the pole come out on the other end?
Yeah, it's totaled.
It's
It
so.
made a really loud noise too because it's like a hollow metal pole.
Oh,
It's like a hand railing, is what it was to like
oh,
divert people. It was just like
oh,
boom, and some
oh, God.
female customs agent saw it and she like came over. So then we looked like these terrible parents, and she
Oh.
went and got ice packs and stuff like that. But I went to go talk to the customs guy and I came back and he has this huge knot. He looked like a unicorn.
Oh
Um,
God, poor buddy.
yeah. So I'm up in the air. Uh, I I want to build a new assembly table, and we've talked about it before. I'd really love to do a hybrid, like the
Yep.
front half being the MFT stuff and the back half being a traditional hand tool bench, because I'm using hand tools more and more now, and really
Yep.
seeing the value in them. Um, and I don't know if I want to build one because I don't know what I want in a hand tool bench. And that's a
my issue.
big, like when I build one, I want that to be the one that I build and I have
Mhm.
for 50 years. So I've been looking at the Schobergs, like the PM 2000 or whatever it's called, that has like the under cabinet storage.
Yep.
And um, I just, I don't know, man, because it's like $3,000 for that
Yep.
bench, that setup. But then I started thinking about like how cool would it be to almost have like two of them, which would be totally overkill. One faces one direction, one faces the other direction, but they're butted up against each other. So now you have like one giant table that has four vices and on whatever corner you're on. But I'm like, that's ridiculous. So I'm thinking
I
I'm gonna build a
I
different
like that
assembly table
idea.
base. What, the two together or that Max? No,
He's so
he's
cute though.
he's
He's so cute.
raising my desk.
He's adorable.
I
Gotta go,
think
Max.
that's the same way I feel. Is
Jeez.
I feel like I would buy one first that was a available one and get to be familiar with what I would do differently, so that the time I spent on building the forever one, I would be confident on what I wanted different.
I
Like said, just got all experience with that one, and he knows what he would do differently because he's used it for so long.
Yep.
And then you can always sell the one that you bought,
Yep.
the one for probably more than you paid for it by the time that
Yeah.
you were selling it.
And I like the idea of being a hybrid. The thing that keeps holding me back is it's like, okay, if I'm going to make content around this, which maybe I don't want to, maybe I just want to have a better table, but at the same time, it's like now I'm missing an opportunity for content. You guys know that how it is. Like you always feel guilty when you don't film something, but the whole like it's a rite of passage for woodworkers to build a hand tool bench. It's like, yeah, maybe it is, but I want to make sure that it's something that I actually want long term. So yeah, maybe I make an investment now and then, make it work the way I want it to work. And then when I finally figure out what it is that I want, because I'll be honest with you, like the longer I do this, it's nice to have a huge assembly table, but like I don't use that thing for what I originally created it for in the first place anymore. Like I can't tell you the last time I used those to like crosscut things like I used to always do. Because now that I have the slider, I don't need that capability anymore. But I love the MFTs because I love the rails on the side. I love the 20 millimeter dog holes because of all the Festool accessories, right? But I also would love to have work holding capabilities of a hand tool bench. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. How much is the cabinet that goes on the inner part on the full size one?
I don't know what it's probably like $600 or $700. So like you could
'Cause
always get it without it and build something.
I would almost think that you would probably be better off making that cabinet yourself for what you would store in there.
True.
I mean, because
Because I would just put all drawers.
I got the version on Cameron's Junior one, and the drawers are so small, we have trouble finding what we want to put in those.
Mm.
They're smaller than we would make them. I would say they were like 2.5 inches tall on his, and they're maybe like 10 inches deep. And it's like, what do you put in there? We like to try to figure out. But if it's only like $600 or $700, I don't know. I just didn't know if that would make a difference. But
Well, I have another question that you guys might be able to help out with because there's another issue that I'm having with this idea. You and I, Sedge, we're in a garage. Ronnie, you have a nice dedicated shop. Um, it slopes. So right now, my assembly table has legs on one end. It's so big and it's so heavy that it's not going to move. So what I'm thinking now, though, is like if I build something else, it's going to have like one end might be on the floor, but the other end is going to have to be raised up to be level. That's
Yep, put
fine with
levelers.
the um, assembly table portion with the MFTs, right? Because I'm just building a cabinet base. They're going to sit on top of it just like they are now. Instead, I'm just going to use two and I'm going to turn them long ways. The hand tool bench, on the other hand, though, not only do I have to make sure that that is perfectly level between the top of the MFT and the other, but now if I put leg levelers on that workbench, doesn't that take away some of the stability at that point?
No. I've had the little levelers. It came with my Veritas bench. I never used them because I just had them all bottomed out. Um, and then when I moved, because I had a flat where I had it in my shop in Fort Lauderdale was fine. No, whatever. It was poured level concrete. Here, of course, you have the pitch for the garage,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't realize you have to have that level. That's your benchmark. Your bench is your benchmark. It has to be level. And I adjusted the levelers. I was a little concerned, but there's so much daggone weight. There's zero issue with stability.
Is there like rubber pads on the bottom of them just to like grip a little bit better so it doesn't
Yes.
slide or move? Okay.
Yep. And you noticed that mine is on casters, but I have the ones that engage when you press down on them. And I bought very inexpensive ones. I very rarely move it, but the first thing I do if I move it, I check for level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
Hmm.
You might
If you're
be
cutting
sliding.
something, if you're
You-
cutting something at 90 and you're in front of it like this, and that's got a tilt, it doesn't come out 90. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Or you could do this and it twists your eye, but you're always taking a square and putting it up against there when you're locking it in your vise to make sure it is at 90 if your bench isn't level. I still take a quick square and do that when I'm cutting a dovetail just to make sure I'm at 90.
Maybe I
Yeah, no,
will
this
do
there's a lot
something.
to it. People don't realize about leveling things.
I really want a
Just
hand
like
tool
I
bench
have
in my
shim
shop.
stock, if I'm like, those little benches I made, and this is really important if you're building out chairs in your uh, leveling legs, you got to make sure your bench is level before you start leveling your legs and then recutting them for perfect level. And there's so many cool tricks with that. Um, that it's actually for me it's fun to do because it's really easy once you understand the concept of it.
Yeah.
And
You
you
know,
go, oh, that makes sense. And then when you're finished with all four legs and your chair or your stool, your bench sits perfectly flat, you go, shit, or shoot, that's really cool. Yeah.
so something that I've actually been thinking about, uh, because I don't feel like I need that big of an assembly table anymore for most of the stuff that I do. I'm almost starting to think like maybe I just get rid of what I currently have that's taking up that massive footprint, and I just put a hand tool bench there. Reason I'm not super into that is because I know that the dog hole sizes on these hand tool benches are not 20 millimeter. I know I could put some in it for
Do you know
sure.
I rebored all of mine. I did a video on it.
Well, because what were they?
3/4.
And you made them.
Uh-huh. I used a step drill, which perfectly centered it, got it started, and I bored it out with a 20 millimeter Forstner. I am pissed I waited so long to do it. And guess
Huh.
what? Most of my 3/4 stuff still works in it that I have for years and years. But I guess what I don't do? Use that 3/4 stuff anymore. I got tons of dogs that are 3/4. I've made a lot of stuff. Turned the post 3/4. There's wobble in it, but guess what? It still works as a stop. And back then, nothing was made 20 millimeter except Festool. Now everybody makes them. And I thank God because I'll call it out. Those TSO TDS 13s, I can't work without them anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. They're just amazing. Wait till you see the video this weekend. Or was it last weekend? I can't remember.
So I'm looking online. They have a Schoberg's Elite 2500C, but it's $4,100. But that's like the cabinet and everything, but it has an extension on the other end to make it even longer. The only thing that I'm concerned, it's nearly 8 feet long. The only thing I'm concerned is the depth
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like one is a little bit too thin.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I had the idea of how cool would it be to just kind of like put two back to back. I don't know. I've just been getting frustrated on some of the hand tool stuff that I've been doing lately. It's like okay, I've got to get out the clamps. I've got to clamp it down to the MFT. I've got to turn it because which I mean, obviously you're going to have to do that with a hand tool bench too, because you're going to have to put it in the vise, take it out, but it's a lot faster. And you're not a real woodworker until you have a hand tool bench. That's what Patrick tells me.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick's all knowing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
He
on.
does make some pretty amazing mouse pads.
He does. I tell you what, they're the best. They're the best mouse pads from Leather by Dragonfly that Patrick makes.
Total length. Hold on. Where's the depth? I just want to see the width of the worktop. 23 and 5/8. Oh, that's so narrow.
But that's for a reason. Right, Sedge?
What is that?
The
width?
hand tool benches are usually always what I consider thinner. And is it because you're working basically with your hand, you can only reach so far and you want to be able to work on all sides of the bench? And it would almost be wasted space if you were in the middle.
Yeah, that is a problem that I do run into. Like if something's on the other side of the assembly table, and I either have to like really reach far or I have to go around and grab it.
Because what you and I think about is also we think of it as an assembly table, and that's not really what it's intended to be. It's a working bench that holds your stock.
I never thought about that, Ronnie, but you're right. I never
Yeah.
reach for anything. I never have to go to the other side.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen them wider is when it's called a student bench, and you have two people at the bench, one on one side, one on the other side. Apprentice bench.
Yeah.
Never thought of it like
benches, those benches sound high, but if you break it down like really quickly on what the materials would cost and the time spent, it's kind of a no-brainer to buy the first one, I think.
Because it's not cheap to make a workbench with the vise, with the lumber,
doing maple or whatever.
Especially cost the lumber.
I mean, it would easily be 1,000 in maple, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Easily. Yeah, easy elite. And that's if you had rough stock. And then all your time in it, it would just be, it sounds better when you hear it that way.
I'd have to figure out a way to mount my Vaxis to one end. Could definitely.
That's good advice.
Velcro.
Yeah. Well, great. Now I have things to think about. I'm gonna geek out on the hand tool workbenches now.
I think the biggest thing too is check out the dimensions of the cabinet and pay attention to what those drawer sizes are, and think about what you would put in there. Because
I can get the Elite Workbench 2000, the one that I was talking about. It's only 2,700 without that cabinet system. And you're right. I could just build one big box that fits in there, and it just has drawers in it.
That's what I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put the
That's
hand
what I did
planes, all
20
that
years
stuff.
ago.
And that it could be the size you want. You don't have wasted space.
Yep. Drawers only, no doors. I'll just fill it with Gerstner tool chests underneath.
There you go. Yeah.
There you
Make
go.
make the tool chest the drawers. That'll make people upset.
Yeah.
Pull out
I don't
ones.
know. We'll see. Great. You guys always love to spend my money. Working height, 35 and 7/16. That's another thing I need to check because that's pretty low compared to what I have.
Yeah, because you're a tall dude.
I'm a tall dude, but mine's a
you
little
could
bit
always-
taller than I want.
You could always make a custom block size under the bottom of the legs so it'd be leveled and at the height you wanted it.
So that's
yeah,
interesting.
true.
You said 35 and 7/16.
Yeah. 900 millimeter. This one doesn't have the weight listed though. The other
Did you
one was
say-
370 pounds.
Yeah, that is
900.
900. That's the height of the MFT. You knew that, right?
Without
90
anything on it.
90
Yeah.
centimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 900 millimeter, of course.
I
Same
want to
height.
say my table height right now is like 38 or 39, just because, I'm taller, obviously, but I could do with it being a little bit lower. I was kind of forced to do that, honestly.
Well, what's
Because
nice
base.
about having that height It's really good to get the oomph you need with a hand plane.
I'm
But
all
you are
about getting
tall,
that
you
oomph.
probably still get the same hand plane. You just don't want to be up here with a hand plane. You
Right.
want to be down here.
I'm all about that oomph.
Just
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about people that are 6'8", 6'9". They'd have to have custom everything in a shop.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be bent over on a table saw where it would hurt their back.
I guess you know what I need to do is I need to find out if any of the people that I'm an affiliate for actually sell Schoberg's workbenches.
I think U.S. Tools and Fasteners does, don't they?
I thought they did too because I ordered
Yeah.
my.
That's where I got. Yeah, that's where I got Cameron's from U.S. Tool.
I got that little one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the little
You
one.
got a little one?
I do. I have a little one.
That
But
little
I
wood
looked.
one.
I looked the other day and they don't. It's not listed on the site anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's
Anyway.
where they were running.
Hey, there he is. Naked man.
Well, let's let him say goodbye.
I've never seen a naked
Let's let
dinosaur
him do
before.
it tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Naked man.
Come here, Max. Okay, so we're gonna. This is, I guess, my cue because this is like the 13th time that he's come in here. This is our cue to end this episode. We hope everybody enjoyed listening. Congratulations to all the winners.
Bye-bye.
Sedge got his bye-bye. Do not rob a young child.
Bye-bye.
Sedge.
Bye-bye.
Max. Can you say
Bye-bye.
bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's awesome.
Bye-bye.